My friends, now the case is going to hit a new level that is going to blow you away. The Tyler Robinson case, please don't let anything happen to him. I don't want to keep saying this, but you do understand, and you will see that as long as he's around, as long as he's there, as long as this case is open, then people like Candace Owens and others, all of us, can pick through this mess and go through it and point to the utter preposterous notion of the state ever proving beyond a reasonable doubt that he did it. So just remember this. Just remember this. This case is collapsing. Bullet mismatches, tampered SD cards, perhaps TPUSA, insiders exposed, and confusions and getting on the phone, and the feds. I mean, Candace Owens has got to be on the defense team. Candace Owens for the defense. It's that simple. And as a defense lawyer, I'm telling you, I have seen this before. I've spent my adult life, my career. This is what we did. And this is what happens involving cases, criminal law and the like. And it's not what you think. But Candace Owens is showing an incredible, almost an ungodly ability to understand the specifics of what's going on and why it's so critical of what she's saying. And I hope you listen to her. But I don't chase conspiracies and theories, unless there's a conspiracy there. I chase facts and reasonable doubt and the constitutional right to a fair trial. But after poring over every filing, as you have seen, and every leaked report and every public statement, and the explosive new ATF ballistic evidence and the DNA evidence and the other ancillary evidence, which is just piling up, I am left, and you are left, and most rational people are left with one inescapable conclusion. This prosecution is collapsing under its own contradictions. The lone gunman narrative, my God, just the name of that, the lone gunman narrative, pushed by authorities and Turning Point USA and everybody else for that matter, is riddled with holes so large you could drive a conspiracy theory through them. And prominent truth seekers like, let's face it, Candace, and I believe Tucker, and Joe Kent, and others, and you, and me, and a host of very, very knowledgeable but also concerned citizens have every right to demand answers. Because remember, we as a society are putting Mr. Robinson on trial. It's the state of Utah versus, it's in essence, the government versus. And lest I remind you, we are the government. You don't have to be in Utah for you to have an active interest in this, because this deals with constitutional rights and precepts. And because what we're seeing right now isn't just sloppy police work, it's a potential frame-up, a frame job, wrapped in official denial. So let's start with this, again, this information, this bombshell that dropped this week and has the prosecution scrambling. On Monday, defense attorneys for the 22-year-old Tyler Robinson submitted a formal report from the BATF, or Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms, and Explosives. And that report states unequivocally that the bullet or fragment or whatever was the shard, the remnant recovered from Charlie Kirk's body does not match the rifle the prosecutors have tied to Robinson. Not even close. And the FBI is now running additional tests to see if this mismatch is true. Translation, the government's own experts just handed the defense exculpatory evidence on a silver platter. Think about this. This is Brady against Maryland. This is classic exculpatory evidence, which is mandated by the Constitution. And now they're trying desperately to walk it back before trial or do something, or to bombard, which happens all the time, the defense team with more information and more data than anybody could ever imagine. Tyler Robinson's team isn't wasting time either. They've already announced plans to call ATF analysts who conducted the test to the stand, and they've also filed a motion to delay. By the way, it's not a motion to delay. Every defendant, whether you're going to plead guilty or not, you need enough time to make sure that when you walk into court, you have perused every single thing that is there. Somebody might say, why would somebody who would want to plead guilty delay this? If you're guilty, you would want to speed these things up. No, because even though your intention is to admit culpability, if there's something so flawed in the trial itself, it may obviate or negate your desire to go forward with that. Now listen, they've also filed a motion to delay, this is important, the whole May trial date by at least 6 months so they can fully review not just the ballistics, but the FBI and ATF DNA reports. Reports that show multiple distinct DNA profiles on key pieces of evidence. Let me remind you, so what if you found his DNA on the rifle? It's his rifle, ostensibly. Who are these other people? Whose DNA are there? We're not DNA, not just Robinson's. This isn't a minor evidentiary hiccup. This is the foundation of the state's case, and it's crumbling. And right now, let's walk through the rest of the so-called overwhelming evidence. And today's Candace, her summary is superb, absolutely superb. I'm not going to put portions of it like people. Please, I refer you. Please see it yourself. She's exquisite in how she lists ad seriatim all of the particular pieces of evidence that are required. And you can watch it disintegrate under scrutiny. And the shooting happened, remember, on September the 10th, 2025 at Utah Valley University, UVU, during a TPUSA event. So Charlie Kirk, who was 31 at the time, the wonderful, fiery conservative activist, the leader, one of the most important voices in American politics, was fatally shot. Robinson then, here's the story, surrendered the very next day, September the 11th. Interesting, propitious indeed. And he appeared, apparently, virtually in the suicide smock for his arraignment and has pleaded not guilty. And he's never confessed in open court, not once. And prosecutors lean hard on three things: alleged Discord messages, text to his roommate Lance Twiggs, and the rifle itself. Let me also tell you that the reason why he turned himself in, which you're going to find out, is not necessarily that he's guilty, but that somebody told him, listen, if you don't turn yourself in, the cops are going to break down your door in the middle of the night and something could go wrong. So if you're smart, make yourself available and get off of the street, because that's the surefirest of ways for you to be dispatched, all right, in the worst possible time. Now remember, all of this, I'm just throwing this. Imagine you're at a all-you-can-eat buffet, and I'm just throwing things on your plate, and you're going to have to sift through this and say, what the hell is this? We're going to go through with it. We're going to sift through this. And I will tell you what's important, what's not, maybe what's important for later, or what's par for the course, okay? So hours after the shooting, someone using Robinson's Discord, apparently, account, messaged the group, hey guys, I have bad news for you all. It was me at UVU yesterday. I'm sorry for all this. Now, Discord verified the account of the FBI. Robinson allegedly texted Twiggs, I had enough of his hatred. These are his quotes. Some hate can't be negotiated out. I had the opportunity to take out Charlie Kirk, and I'm going to take it. And asked Twiggs to delete the messages. Prosecutors also point to the rifle, a World War II era 30-06 Mauser 98, this family heirloom, gifted by Robinson's father, but found wrapped in a towel in woods near the campus. Now, remember, I could stop with each of these and explain to you, but here's what's being presented. So Robinson's DNA was reportedly on the trigger. Sounds airtight, right? Wrong. First, digital confessions are notoriously easy to fake, spoof, or obtain under duress. So we don't know where they are. People are saying, and Candace has said, the legal term, he hasn't confessed to dick. Pardon my French. What exactly is he confessing to? Turning himself in to avoid being blasted in the middle of the night does not a confession necessarily make. And we still don't know the full chain of custody on those messages. And second, Robinson, of course, turned himself in voluntarily the next day. No, so why would a cold-blooded, assassin who bragged on Discord immediately surrender and then plead not guilty? I guess. The suicide smock appearance, of course, screams distress, not guilt. Third, the rifle. Even if Robinson's DNA is on it, and remember the multiple DNA profiles, but even if his DNA is on it, the bullet doesn't match. And don't forget, it's his rifle. The bullet doesn't match. And if the bullet don't fit, you got to acquit. And ballistics is the gold standard. If the slug in Kirk's body came from a different firearm, the rifle is a red herring, planted or irrelevant or both. And Robinson's father confirmed it was a family gun, but that doesn't prove it fired the fatal round. I don't even know if it was fired. We don't even know if it was fired. We don't even know if there's any kind of GSR. These are called, remember this, nitrazine. We don't know if there's any evidence to even show that Charlie himself may have fired, Trevor had fired this himself with powder residue on the light. And then there's the elephant in the courtroom. The truth seekers like Candace Owens have been screaming about for months the suspicious actions of TPUSA insider Terrell Farnsworth and the missing SD cards. Terrell Farnsworth was a TPUSA staffer in charge of all the audio and video at the UVU event. He was one of Kirk's closest. Did I say Trevor? I think I said Tyler. Anyway, I'm getting confused. Anyway, video footage now public, thanks to Candace Owens, shows Mr. Farnsworth and others within seconds of Kirk being shot, climbing onto rocks and then filming a selfie, declaring they shot Charlie, he's dead, God help him. Not Charlie's been shot, not call 911. He prematurely declared him dead while the body was still being removed. Then within minutes, Farnsworth breached the crime scene and physically removed SD cards from the cameras, positioned directly behind Kirk's head. Why? The exact angles that would have captured the shooter's position, muzzle flash, trajectory, and any potential second shooter or staging. TPUSA's official line: we were securing the footage to prevent it from being stolen. Okay? That's laughable on his face. Law enforcement was on the scene. Chain of custody is sacred in homicide cases. Removing evidence before police catalog it is textbook tampering. It screws things up. It contaminates it. And, by the way, it destroys the integrity of the most critical evidence available. Interesting. Candace Owens didn't just report this. She obtained and aired the behind-the-scenes footage herself, and the very material that Farnsworth controlled. Now, her relentless reporting exposed TPUSA's verifiable lies, their meltdowns, and their desperate attacks on anyone asking questions. She called out the neocons overwhelmed by non-existent evidence and shamed those who rushed to judgment. She was right. Even more damning, Farnsworth's cousin, Michael Burt, is one of the lead attorneys on Tyler Robinson's defense team. Is that important? Well, I don't know. They call this the Mormon Mafia, and they call this a conflict of interest that has exploded across social media. Is it? Is it relevant? We'll decide. You decide. How does the defense get a fair shake when their own lawyer, it is argued, is blood-related, interesting pun, or not pun, but reference, to the man who yanked the SD cards? Marjorie Taylor Greene posted the Daily Mail headline with an eyeball emoji and noted the sheriff's sudden resignation right after the ATF mismatch news broke. Right after it. Joe Kent, Trump's former counterterrorism pick, has openly questioned the lone shooter theory. Tucker Carlson, Megyn Kelly, and Owens have all fueled the fire with facts, not fantasies. And they've been smeared for it, of course. Add to this the other red flags, the provided reporting that glosses over. But the public record doesn't. Bullet casings allegedly left behind with messages written on them. Traumatic, but convenient. Robinson's roommate, Lance Twiggs, and family admissions. Yet the defense now has DNA reports showing multiple contributors on the rifle and the other items. And the entire TPUSA inner circle's behavior. Chief of Staff Mikey McCoy, walking away deliberately at the sound of gunfire, so they say. Is it true? We'll find out. Staffers filming selfies instead of rendering aid. Candace Owens' list of 10 TPUSA verifiable lies about the assassination timeline, security and footage. I mean, she has receipts. We're just getting started. She has to be lead counsel. Well, assistant counsel. As a defense lawyer, as a former prosecutor, my job is to find the truth, not to comfort the narrative. The state wants us to believe that a 22-year-old with a family heirloom rifle acted alone, confessed digitally, turned himself in, and yet the ballistics don't match, and the most important video evidence was tampered with by an insider whose cousin now sits on the defense team. That's not reasonable doubt. That's reasonable suspicion of perhaps a larger operation. Was Tyler Robinson framed? Was he a patsy? Did someone else pull the trigger and the rifle was staged? Was the Discord account hacked? Or the messages fabricated? Why did Farnsworth know to say they shot Charlie before the investigation even began? And why has TPUSA fought tooth and nail to control the narrative and the footage? The prosecution is clamoring. The trial is delayed. The ATF report is public. Social media are on fire with calls for full release of all raw footage, unredacted DNA reports, and a complete chain of custody audit on those SD cards. Candace Owens and others, and the rest of the truth warriors that we are a part of, aren't far-right conspiracy theorists. We, they, all of us, are doing the job the legacy media and certain law enforcement agencies refuse to do, to ask the uncomfortable questions that expose rot and contamination and error. Tyler Robinson deserves his day in court, without tampered evidence, without conflicts of interest, and without a railroad job. And the people of Utah, the conservative movement, and Charlie Kirk's own legacy deserve the full truth. Not a sanitized, glossed over, lone nut theory that conveniently buries every discrepancy. If the bullet doesn't match the gun, the case doesn't match the facts. Full stop. I will continue fighting for our client justice, for transparency, and for truth, wherever it leads. Because in America, even in 2026, the presumption of innocence still matters. And right now, the only thing more dangerous than the unanswered questions is pretending that they don't exist. And let me tell you something right now. You're going to see something we haven't seen before. You're going to see one of the most aggressive and thorough and brilliant co-counsel narratives, specifically that of Candace Owens and others. We've never seen this before. We kind of sort of saw this maybe during the days of OJ, but we're seeing real-time worldview, active participation, and crowdsource investigations. Remember one thing. This is not about Tyler Robinson. This is not about anything. This is very simply about one thing. One simple, immutable, unmistakable fact. Truth.